last decade has been extremely good when it comes to wealth creation. Would you say that irrespective of the outcome of this election, the next couple of or the next decade would be as good for wealth creation?
Like you rightly pointed out, Nandita, there's so many things which are right. The GDP numbers came up. Of course, there was a 8.2% GDP growth, which was a surprise. Of course, if you look at the GVA, gross value added, that's only 7.2% growth because GVA and GDP have a difference of taxes minus subsidies. Subsidies were lower, is why GDP number shows 8.2. Irrespective, the number of 7.2 on the GVA is a great number. The domestic liquidity, like Rahul was also speaking about, is a lakh crore for this financial year. FIs have gone light this financial year. So far, they've sold about 35,000 till May end. So that's 35,000 crores. That's about $4.5 billion of the $750 billion they own. So they went extremely short, hedging their positions. 87% was their index future short and 13% was the long. So coming back to your pointed question, there are so many things working for the country, of course. But I think that a stable government is very, very critical. You can't brush that aside. During phases where there's no stable government, Nifty growths have underperformed the earnings growth. When there is stable government, the Nifty price movement has been greater than the earnings growth. If you look at the earnings for the last quarter of Nifty, the growth is 29%. For the full year, we are looking at an earnings number in rupee terms of 970 rupees on a base of 820, which is a great growth again. Next year, our projection for Nifty earnings is 1,100. Having said which, a stable, very stable government is what makes the price outperform the earnings growth. So I would say that it is an important function. If NDA does not have more than 300, 305 seats, you could have a short-term lull. But the markets, like I said, could settle not really low. It might give away the gains between the state election and the general election. And I would not consider it as a catastrophic fall like we saw in 2004 or a supernormal rise like in 2009. So I would say that the movement is going to be muted relative to those extreme cases where exit polls during 2004 had predicted a thumping majority for Atal Bihari Ji's government, but that didn't transpire. So I think governments are critical. A stable government is very critical. There are several macroeconomic variables for the country, but a stable government is almost a necessity for prices to outperform earnings of any capital market.